if you will excuse me one, even if you're someone who hates reactions, excuse me this one, because it's a collaboration, guys, so we gotta give him some exposure because he absolutely deserves it. So the video is called The Truth About the Trident as a Fantasy Weapon, featuring the Meta Muppet himself, the Meta Muppet. Let's check it out.
So water diffraction, take that into account.
Ooh.
I think it would spear a fish.
He's great. Woohoo! Let's go!
Hello and welcome back to another
Hello, Trident. How you doing?
episode of Screen Tested. I am your host Trident, and in today's episode we're going to be taking a look at our last and final god weapon. To refresh your memory on this little mini-series, as it were, in the first episode we took a look at Zeus's Thunderbolt. Is it a good weapon design, essentially? There's a lot of caveats in that one because, you know, thunder and magic, etc, etc, but it's an interesting episode nonetheless. Then we got to Hades' Tine, or Pitchfork, Varatha, Bident. It has a lot of names actually, and it was a fascinating one because not only is it
that looks like a Bident to me, yeah.
Really cool, but there's some caveats with it as well. You should check that episode out if you haven't already. And that leads us to today's episode with the last and final of the big three god weapons, the Trident. Poseidon's Trident, Aquaman's Trident, some random fisherman's Trident, whatever we want to call it. It's essentially a three-pronged thrusting device. Now, obviously, there is a little bit of historical context, you know, maybe like a gladiator that springs to mind when it comes to the Trident. Obviously, we're going to be focusing more on the fantasy aspect of it, but we will touch on that a little bit later. But with
that's me, by the way. When he says that, he means me, you Muppet. Yeah. It was funny when you go like, oh yeah, the weapon of Poseidon or Aquaman. Man, the difference. Am I right?
With all that out of the way, let's get started with the build because I've been looking forward to this one. This one's fun. So getting started with the build for the Trident. Because in the last episode we did Hades' Pitchfork or Bident. We need to do a couple of repairs because that's obviously what we're going to be using for the base of the Trident itself, right? We're 90% there. So after I've thrown the Bident onto the anvil, I'm going to straighten up some of the edges and the points. Then I'm going to cut some steel piping.
Man, that's awesome that he makes the whole thing. Now, I will skip the construction so you can go check it on his video. Let's look at it in action. Let's go. I don't know who this is, but he's gonna get speared. Well, you wouldn't say speared to death. Would you say tridented to death? I don't know.
Cycling the Bident and the lightning bolt. So we've made all three god weapons with the one original god weapon.
Right.
Still really cool concept in my opinion. So in today's episode, what we're going to do is we'll have a little bit of we'll just see if this thing is good. How good is it really? Now, obviously there's a couple of caveats we should mention here. This is a very fanciful, don't know if that's a word, whatever. This is a very fanciful type of Trident, right? It's very bulky, it's very big. Yeah. Now it's interesting because the weight on it, I would say is
top heavy?
Right on the line.
Oh.
It's okay. It's a little top heavy, obviously, because you have all the stuff here, but I think it's okay. It's right on that line of like acceptable weight, I would say. In terms of how it feels to thrust, I mean, it's the same as the Bident. We kind of just added the central spike, so there should be a lot of stuff.
Maybe it's even better with the central spiking when it comes to balance, but he'll let us know. That's what I would think.
That we're kind of, I guess, re-going over. For example, if we want to aim it, instead of aiming like, well, we can aim like this now if we want, but we can also aim like this.
Yeah.
How do they feel? Funnily enough, holding it like this actually feels a little lighter. Now, obviously, I think it's just because of how the weight.
A little lighter. I want to see if I can say it the way he did it. A little lighter. A little lighter. How is my Australian? A little lighter. How would I say it? A little lighter, as I would say it. A little lighter.
Is dispersed? Did that look weird? I felt like I kind of looked... I swear I was checking the weight. Interestingly enough, it still feels a lot better like that. Oh, that's so fun.
Ooh, that was nice.
I know we're going to be rehashing a lot of stuff, but man.
He's having fun.
I love these things.
He's having fun. Wow. Ooh, that was that was a 18. That roll is a 18. Man, that was good. That was good. Definitely lighter.
Sorry, Marcus. So since the DCEU has been nuked, they're probably going to be looking for a new Aquaman at some point, right? Well, why don't we consider this my screen test? I mean, we are on screen tested. We do have a Trident, so I'm going to be Aquaman for a little bit.
He'd be a great Aquaman.
So I'm going to do the Jason Momoa. You know how he walks out of the water, flicks his hair, smolders, puts the Trident down, glances off.
That is an awesome image, though. I'll give him that. Man, this guy's buff. This is great. How much protein do I need to get like this? How much, guys?
Sorry. If James Gunn, let me know if you want a new Aquaman. I just don't like the water, the ocean, or sand. Anyway, if you enjoyed today's episode, you should consider subscriring. All right, let's get back to the episode. So Tony's down here.
Tony.
He is Orm, and I am Aquaman, who doesn't give a fuck. So what happens next is... All right, let's see how this thing thrusts against Tony, because like we said with the original Biden, there is the caveat, right? When you have a regular spearhead, you're only concentrating all that force on the 1 point. But when you have 2 points, for example, like the Biden, you're going to be sharing that surface area. And then when you have 3, kind of like the Wolverine claws, you're going to be sharing it against all 3.
Man, the Wolverine claws is pretty nice.
So let's see how well this design does. There's a reason why I made this point protrude longer than the other 2. So let's see what it does to Tony.
Let's go.
Oh.
Ooh, Tony's gonna sue you. Well, you're not in America, so maybe not.
That's pretty good. I actually didn't expect it to do so good.
Man, that's a perforated lung right there. Right there. He didn't even put that much strength, did he?
I thought he was going to bounce. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
Very heavy though. So far, the biggest negative that I've got is that it's so bloody heavy, right? It actually is a bit, it's kind of wild how heavy this thing is, but man.
Wow, that's the solar plex. You don't survive that. You do not survive that. You would have done the same with a spear, by the way. It's not like these things, considering the fact that this is longer, basically these two here make it useless. But it's, yeah, look at this.
You've got a lot of range, got a lot of reach.
Boom. Action replay.
Having a extra protruding point to be the one to make first contact, absolutely fantastic. It's a little top heavy, like we said, but that's more for the fanciful designness than anything else.
Yeah.
It really is good at thrusting, honestly. Yeah, Tony is getting...
Tony's dead.
Yeah. So that's kind of a surprise, but again, you got to remember, it's more so because I made the design a little bit more protruding. If I had made it the same sort of length as this, I think we would have a much more shit time about it.